Our next committee is Parks and Recreation. It's chaired by Michael Lundquist.
Thanks so much, Pinky. Joining me on the committee are Council members April Barker and Roxanne Murphy. We have one item before us today. It's an informational update on the project update for the Squaliscombe Creek Bay to Baker Trail. Staff will present it. Here at our Parks Director Leslie Bryson and her engineer Zach Brown. Go ahead and turn over to you, Leslie.
Thank you. Leslie Bryson, Parks and Recreation Director, and with me today, as Michael mentioned, is Zach Brown. He's a project engineer that is on temporary assignment with us while Gina Austin is out on leave. And again, this is just an update, a status report on our Squaliscombe Creek Trail portion of the Bay to Baker Trail. It is going out to bid this week, and we'll have a bid opening early in March and come back to council later in March for a bid award. So we wanted to give you an update on where this was at following, I think you had an update last week on the Squaliscombe Creek reroute project. And first, for the record, I want to correct something that's in the agenda bill that's wrong. This is not part of the Bellingham to Baker Trail, not to be confused with the Bay to Baker Trail, which it is. The Bellingham to Baker Trail is the trail runners. You've heard of the trail run that they run up to Mount Baker? Those, that follows the north shore of Lake Whatcom. So this is the Bay to Baker Trail, but not the Bellingham to Baker Trail, which is different. So I just wanted to make that correction. So this project will construct 1.4 miles, approximately 1.4 miles of new public trail along the red dashed route on the slide, going from Orchard Place to Iron Gate Road. It will go under I-5. And, sorry, I don't know. One of the screens is out, I guess. One of the projectors is out. So we only have it on two. It will go under I-5 and cross James at Orchard Place, and then basically follows the abandoned railroad grade and will connect to Iron Gate Road. There's also a link down to Sunset Pond Park. And there's parking, trailhead parking, both at Cornwall Park and at Sunset Pond Park. That parking lot was at Sunset Pond Park was recently improved as part of the James Street Bridge project. And here's a close-up of the route, again starting at Orchard Place. It will go under I-5, go up to James Street for a safe crossing at Orchard Place, back down and follow the railroad grade out to Iron Gate Road. You can see the creek reroute in the background there. You can also see the light gray, all the different, if you were on council, remember all the different possibilities we looked at for getting the trail through this corridor. Eventually there will be a lighted crosswalk at Orchard Place and James Street. So that's going to be the safest place to cross. And then again, a link down to Sunset Pond Park with a bridge over the new creek reroute. And here's a close-up of the crossing at Orchard Drive. It's about 300 feet north of the creek area. We do have some wetland crossings. We'll be putting in culverts on one side. On the west side of James Street, as part of the creek reroute, there was a berm constructed in this area, and we'll be using the berm to put the trail on. We'll show you that in a slide in a few minutes. So again, it goes from Orchard Place to Iron Gate, up 1.4 miles of new public trail, generally follows the existing rail grade. We're minimizing cost and avoiding wetland impact by doing that. Bid opening and award in March. We've had an extensive public process over many years. The master plan for this was one of the first projects I worked on when I came to Bellingham 22 years ago. And we've built several segments of the Bay to Baker Trail in Little Squaliscombe Park and in Squaliscombe Creek Park. So it's really exciting to be able to get this new piece done. It will open up a whole gateway of the underpass under I-5, will provide access for many neighborhoods to move back and forth. Here's a couple pictures, one at Orchard Place looking east along the existing rail grade. It's wide, it's flat. All we have to do is go in and take out the rails and ties and put the trail in. And here's the berm that was built by the creek reroute out towards James Street, and again, all ready for the trail. There are other areas, though, where we will be putting in crossings and putting in a bridge, which is why the cost is somewhat high. It's we're estimating between $1.5 and $1.8 million, largely funded with Greenway funds, and we do have a $500,000 grant from the Washington Wildlife Recreation Program, Local Trails Program. We've been very fortunate over the years to get a fair amount of funding through that program. And I want to introduce a phase that we've just started looking at to connect this trail through Cornwall Park. So go to the next slide, please. So the trail will end at Orchard Place. There's a sidewalk on both sides of Orchard Place, and we would cross Birchwood Avenue and go directly into Cornwall Park with a new trail that would go through the park, avoiding the congested area between the picnic shelter and the playground and the spray park to come on the Birchwood Avenue side of that, and then partially follow an existing trail and come through to Meridian Street in about the location of our existing parks office, which we would plan to remove. It is in the floodplain of Tributary W, so removing that would be good mitigation for the floodplain area, and we can do further mitigation by planting that. It will free up parking by not having the office in the building there for the very heavy use that park gets at certain times of the year. So I'm just introducing this. This is a project we're just scoping out and have just started working on design. So we'll be having public meetings about this, and you'll be hearing more about this project coming up. This new trail would provide another link for the Bay to Baker Trail. It will leverage our existing park property and infrastructure. It avoids any creek crossings and avoids wetlands, so it minimizes environmental impacts. And again, it removes the building from the floodplain. So we're looking forward on moving ahead on that project. This shows part of the existing trail that goes through the woods east of our office and then coming out through that meadow on Birchwood. I think a lot of people think that Cornwall Park ends at the tree line, but it actually goes all the way over to be contiguous with Orchard Place. So that's my update, and again, we'll be back in March for a bid award. We're looking forward to getting this done.
Thank you, Leslie. Committee members. April?
So very exciting, especially I think it's East Orchard Place, where there's a community that's not really connected. They're like right on the backside of Iron Gate, but other than trying to get on the busy way and go over to Sunset Pond, this is just amazing, the connectivity. And I think it's really brilliant how, I mean, for a long time it's been 98225 is on the west side of the freeway, and like you said, it really allows neighborhoods to, and we've seen that at the big regional park over on Squalicum Way, how different neighborhoods were meeting each other and coming together. So brilliant and really excited about it. Two questions. The crosswalk, do you know about the timing on that?
Which crosswalk?
I think it was James and Orchard.
On James Street?
Yeah.
I believe that it's dependent on putting a lighted crosswalk is dependent on the amount of traffic. So I'm not sure when the time frame will be.
So, because if this starts to get readily used, I mean, that could end up putting us into, if we don't know the exact timing. So I'd be interested. That's Public Works, I'm assuming.
And I believe, did they put the infrastructure in with James Street? I'm not sure. I mean, something under the road for future.
All right. And I was part of a group of several neighborhoods that came together when Gina was working on one of the grants for the beginning of the trail process to advocate and hope for it. So it seems like now we'll finally have that missing link that sometimes helps with grant proposals. that it goes from Meridian all the way over to Squalicum Park that we have now. Is that?
Well, we still have to acquire that right-of-way from Burlington Northern, so that's, we're still in negotiations on that.
Yeah, that's really phenomenal. Thank you for all your work on this.
Thanks.
Any other committee members? Dan?
Just wanted to find out what the plan was, the eventual plan for when the trail, so it terminates now or will terminate at Iron Gate, then what happens after that then?
Again, that is property that we've been in discussions with that property owner for a number of years and do not have a willing seller at this time. But eventually the idea is to stay on the railroad grade and go all the way out to the city limits. And it's also in the county's trail plans, or has been, to continue that trail. It's part of the Nooksack Loop Trail. So then once it got into out of the city limits into the county, then that would become the county's responsibility. So that is the plan, to keep it on the railroad grade all the way out to the city limits eventually.
Thank you.
Okay, Gene?
Leslie, what's the status with Burlington Northern on the leftover rail lines? I know that's been an ongoing thing forever. We haven't heard anything about that in a long time. Anybody that knows it?
For Brian Heinrich, Mayor's Office. It's a good question, Gene. We've had a number of conversations with BN in the past. I guess I would say they're not ready to really get into negotiation on that. We continue to discuss with them, our interests. They're certainly aware of our interests and what we hope to do with it, but we've not moved beyond sort of agreeing to agree to that point. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Great. Any further comments or questions on this one? Okay, so that was for innovation only. But Leslie, before you go, this Friday, Terry and I were both at a presentation by the Washington Wildlife and Recreation Coalition, and they work with a state program. When you mentioned that program has provided some of the funding for this project, and the list they provided, they've actually been involved in Cordata Park, Happy Valley Park, Civic Field, Jerry Fields, Northridge Park, Railway Trail, South Bay Trail, Squalicum Creek, Boulevard Park, Squalicum Field, Sunnyland Park. So we've actually, over the years, had a lot of support from that statewide program, including this trail. I saw that their deadline for the next round was in May. Do we have anything else that we're looking further ahead on that might use that program?
We do. We're looking at it's important that we have a local match. It's important that it's a project that's far enough along that we have good cost estimates. So we're looking at a couple of different projects. One of the requirements in applying for that program is a resolution from the City Council. So you will know, yes, you will know what we're going to apply for. So they have a webinar coming up, and we're going to be taking a close look at what the best fit for some of our upcoming projects are in the time frame. But we will definitely be applying for a couple at least. Yeah.
That's really good news. Okay, that is the end of the Parks and Recreation Committee. Back to you, Pinky.